thank you all for joining us this week for the Local Links Mastermind. I'm Matt Quirk, and with me, the other bearded gent here is Brian Fife, the cohorts in crime for Local Links. And we've got special guests today, Chad Mender of the LAX Coastal Chamber of Commerce, and Chad's going to talk to us about a number of things, but we are running a little behind, so I'm going to just have him jump right in. So Chad, quickly introduce yourself, and then let's get to the meats.
Yeah, absolutely. I definitely don't want to keep you guys away from the juicy stuff. So I'm Chad. I work at the LAX Coastal Chamber. We represent the business community of Marina Del Rey, Playa Vista, Westchester, LAX communities and surrounding areas. So a bunch of people on this call are members of the chamber. Yay, we love that. And just tell you a little bit more about just some things that we're seeing, provide some information and some possible new avenues to explore. So let's get this party started. So anyways, kind of three things we'll talk about there. I'll jump into the first one so we can just go ahead and go to the next slide. So I think the first thing is really just this whole concept of how do we authentically network in a virtual world. I think a lot of us thought that this was going to be like a 30-day, jump on Zoom and then be out back in person. Well, not really the case, obviously. So, how do we do that? And how do we do that in an authentic way that builds trust, et cetera? So you can go ahead and go to the next slide there, Matt. So I think just some ideas, treat it as if nothing has changed. Business coffees, happy hours, all that stuff can still be done remotely. I don't know how many times I'm going out and trying to, hey, let's have a virtual beer at 5 o'clock. Let's have a cup of coffee. You can't go out and meet people on your own, but you can still do those things in kind of an authentic way as you would if you were going out and getting out from your homes. The other thing that I've seen a lot just with talking to different businesses and people networking virtually is this whole concept of a digital business card. You're using the chat function, creating a quick digital business card that you can easily attach to the chat function, and it's done very well. You can obviously save that chat function, but having that digital business card so people remember you, you don't have to always constantly type it, might be something worth creating. And then I think just finding ways to be your true self virtually. Naturally, we all have our things at home that make us who we are. I'm in my garage. I'm a painter on the side, so my painting's back here. My naked 2.5-year-old daughter will come running into the room. All these things that kind of make us who we are right now, I think is a great way to continue to build trust and build authenticity when we're talking to people. And then obviously just fine tuning things that work. Definitely people are starting to get zoomed out, trying some other platforms, using the phone. We've seen a little bit of everything. So we can go to the next slide there, Matt. And I think the reality is, right now we're working twice as hard for half the results. I'll show some stats a little bit later, but from a Facebook small business report, but a lot of people are doing all their sales online right now. And it's just a reality. And then secondly, this kind of way of doing business, I think, is going to exist way beyond COVID-19, especially in major metropolitan areas. I think, cutting down on commute time, et cetera, you're going to see a lot more of, I think, virtual meetups happening. So obviously, some new words in our vocabulary, unprecedented. I think we hear that about every 3 words. Social distancing, that's about every 2 words. And then this concept of pivot. And we can go to the next slide. So, obviously lots of different things, ways of pivoting, new operational processes, new staffing structures, new products, services, offerings, new ways to market yourself. Obviously a stronger digital presence is a huge thing right now. And then new strategic plans, new budgets. People are just completely throwing out their budgets with the bathwater. They don't even, not even relevant at this point. But I wanted to just share one thing from kind of new markets to generate revenue. So many of you probably know California is the 5th largest economy in the world. You may or may not know, with 88 local cities and local government agencies, LA County is actually the 7th largest economy in the world, which is pretty crazy when you really think about it. But it is. It's a huge just economic engine. But I wanted to just touch upon one thing that might be worthwhile to dive into, and that is consider getting your small business enterprise certification. You may or may not know that City of LA, county, and a lot of special districts like airport and water districts, they offer procurement and contracting opportunities for small businesses. So typically 25 to 35% of what they procure have to go out to small businesses. So if you're looking for some new revenue streams, some, going after those public sector opportunities might be a great thing to jump into. One example, LAX, they're obviously building and modernizing right now with the People Mover. It's a $14 billion contract. About $3.5 billion of that has to go out to small businesses, which is pretty impressive.
Wow.
Some of the qualifications to get your SBE, you need to be independently owned and operated. You need to have your principal office in California. You must be residents of California. The owners must be. A business of 100 or fewer employees, and annual gross receipts must be less than 15 million over the last 3 years. And then just some other key things. It's completely free to get your certification. Also, many small business development centers have resources and literally experts to help get you certified. You renew them about every 2 to 3 years. And even organizations like the Chamber, we have some people on this call, Louis, Rabia, some other people that have gone through and gotten their SBE certification. These are some major companies on the private sector that have inclusivity and supplier diversity programs. There's hundreds, but obviously some very reputable names. They also seek out small businesses that have certifications. They don't always require it, but it's a nice preferred thing that they recommend. How are we on time, Matt?
We're doing good.
Okay.
We
So
got 10 more minutes for you.
Okay. So my last thing is just obviously a huge push right now to shop local, shop small. We all know that. It's an important thing right now. I love the one on the right, shop local, risk the power of the dark side. So, I think all of us being more intentional about where we shop and why we shop there. The big change, the big corporations, a lot of them are going to make it through this. It's the small entities that might not. Just some facts from the SBA. There's 30.7 million small businesses in the U.S. Over about 8 million of them are small businesses that are owned by minorities. And then from 2000 to 2018, small business were responsible for about 65% of the net job growth. So it's so critical right now that we make sure our small businesses are supported. Also, I'll send this over in the chat function. Facebook just recently did 2 big reports on the current state of small business. They did one from a US standpoint as well as a global look at things, and they sliced and diced. They basically surveyed 86,000 people who owned, managed, and worked in a small to mid-sized business. And these are some of their findings. 31% of owners and managers said that they were basically currently not operating. This is as of late May, early June. And then for those that were self-employed, about 52%. 28% of small businesses said that their biggest issue was going to be cash flow. And then I think the next biggest issue was access to capital. And then 47% report having difficult time balancing what's happening at home and then also what's happening at their business. But there is a bright side. There really is a bright side, and you'll see that in the report. 51% report increasing online interactions with their clients. 36% of personal business people that are self-employed report that they're conducting all their business through online sales. 57% are saying they're really optimistic about the future of their business. And this was actually a pretty cool fact. Only 11% thought that they would expect to fail in the next 3 months if COVID-19 persisted. So some good stuff. I'll put the PDFs in the chat function so that you can see them. They're pretty extensive reports. Obviously, we're all trying to watch our cash flow, but this is just a cool slide that indicates how you can support a small business without spending a cent. So liking their posts, referring a friend, hosting a party or an event, tagging friends, be intentional, as I mentioned earlier. We all want the restaurants and the different mom and pops to exist right around our homes, our favorite establishments. So we just all got to continue to be intentional about supporting those places. So again, I'm Chad. I work for the Chamber of Commerce. Our goal is really to promote the vitality of business. And I think with that, I'll stop and answer any questions.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chad. Brian, you're on mute if you're talking. Saw your mouth flapping.
Hey, Chad, could you tell us more? Do you know anything about like what type of projects they're looking for to be fulfilled through the LAX? I mean, that's $3 billion is a lot of money that could be going to small businesses.
So obviously the LAMP project is driven by construction and engineering. But everything from staffing to IT to you name it, there a lot of these things that they could easily give to a big company, they're trying to outsource, because actually if they do not hit their inclusivity requirements on the contract, they will actually be fined.
Okay. So is there a place with that you can direct us to put in? You said you have to be a part of the SBE, but after that, is there a point where you can go and see what projects?
Yeah, so what I can do is there's some public sector bidding sites. I have a slide that I can send out to everybody. I'll put it in the chat function as well when I get done. But you know, LA County's got one, LA City, Metro has a site. There are different certifications for different things. So you can get a certification to work with LAUSD, a certification to work with the port, a certification to work with LA County, even water districts.
I have a question.
Okay. Colleen, you had a question? Go ahead and chime in if you want. If anybody has any questions, feel free.
Patty, go for it.
Yeah, my question is, in the very beginning, he said we are working twice as hard and getting half the results. Can you expand on that comment?
Yeah, I think just, you know, our work as a Chamber of Commerce, I mean, we go out and we try and talk to businesses about obviously joining our organization. And I think what we're seeing is just from the sales and business development side is, you know, if you go out and traditionally you would talk to 25 businesses, let's say we maybe get 10 of those businesses to join or to get involved. You know, we're seeing half of that. You know, might be 5 businesses choosing.
Yeah.
So it's taking longer. It's taking longer to get people across the finish line. So I think a lot of industries are seeing that. A lot of people are in the wait and see space because you know, people don't know when this ends.
I see.
I did want to let everybody know that we're going to go ahead and unless you choose to opt out of this, Chad will be passing along everyone's information that's on this event to our co-sponsor here at LAX Coastal. I want to let you know that I am a huge advocate, and Local Links has been a part of the LAX Coastal Chamber for coming up over a year now, but I actually started attending their events about a year prior to that. And Chad and Kelly are just such a great advocate for businesses. And so we'll be passing along your information so that they can pass along any of the directions to the information that they shared today. And I would highly recommend attending one of their events. I know just flying through all the people that are on here, I believe Tracy, you're a member, is that correct?
Yes, I am.
Yeah, and if you're not a member of the LAX Coastal Chamber, there is what I believe you guys are at 500 or so members.
About 600.
600, yeah, and and it's just they are really they're a great place to get support as a local business, and I think we could all agree that support during this kind of the world we're living in right now is beneficial. Any bit of support that we can find as business owners, it's key to succeed, to success.
And the other thing I would say is, if you are interested in learning more about about getting your SBE certification, if you'd like to talk to us at the Chamber, we have a 4-week program. But we can also refer you directly to a small business development center and get you hooked in with a consultant. It's completely free. They're reimbursed basically from the SBA for every client that they bring in. So it costs them nothing to work with you, and they have all kinds of free programs beyond just the SBE program as well.
Excellent.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Chad. I just wanted to dive into a couple points here. I think, Chad, on the last slide that we had up, that shop local, buy local, all of these things are really great. And communities like ours and others, and like Chad's with the LAX Coastal Chamber, these are opportunities for us as business owners to do organic guerrilla marketing. Use the community that you have to encourage each other to like your posts, share them out with friends, tag friends who you believe can benefit from them. That's literally what we do in supporting all of you here. Whenever we have a sponsor on, or whenever we have one of our members in the mastermind join us for the show after the show, it's really an intentional thing, and that's kind of the last line here down by the ladybug. This thing's just too damn cute. I can't get over it. But being intentional about how we're operating today is, I think, the best advice that we could give to anyone here, anyone who owns a business, even anyone who is an internal operator in a business. Just be intentional. We don't want to be, to Colleen, your point earlier about doing more and getting less. Everyone, I think, we all just kind of lost our minds a little bit when shit hit the fan, and pardon my French, but I am a dirty sailor. So that's just how I roll. But I think we all kind of lost our minds a bit. And the best way to get back on track is to be intentional and make sure that we're all joining together, because this isn't just one or two things that are happening around the world. It's literally everybody's been impacted by the pandemic and everything else going on. So the more that we can band together and really help each other thrive is the best way that we can come out of this ahead of the game and be ready for whatever life looks like after the pandemic, after things settle down. People are actually allowed back in physical locations together without hindrances of masks or 6-foot distances between each other. I think when that happens, the more that we've done during this pandemic time, the more relationships we've built, the better off all of us are going to be. So I just wanted to double down on this last slide from Chad. And again, Chad, thank you so much. Becoming part of this community and us becoming part of the LAX Coastal Chamber of Commerce community has been a very valued partnership. So thank you so much for presenting today. Brian, did you want to close out with anything else before we jump into the mastermind?
We had one last question. I think we got a minute or so here that Patty had a question. Patty, go ahead.
Sorry, Patty.
Yeah, sorry, got after Colleen. Just a question. I had looked at government contracts and all that, but is there a place, I know you just said there's multiple categories, something like marketing, is that something that's definitely in the SBE or just general government contract, before I go through all the certification and then find out there's really nothing there for the kind of marketing services? Do you find that the category that's needed?
Yeah, so I mean, so if you take, for example, a construction contract, obviously the general contractor wants to build the automated people mover, the train. You know, you're not gonna outsource that. But some of these other things like staffing, marketing, PR, you know, maintenance, whatever it is, that's some of that stuff. Those are categories that it's low hanging fruit for them to pass out that expertise. So, and what's interesting now more than ever is because there's so much happening in the procurement sector in Los Angeles to get ready for the Olympics, there's not enough certified small businesses. So people will go from the stadium in Inglewood and they're going to take that workforce and then they're going to go to the airport. So there's a lot of opportunity. It's still challenging to find the opportunities, I mean, and get in, but there's a lot of opportunity.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tamisa. Can I add something real
Please
quick
do.
to that? So I used to have all the certifications for my other business. And when you do your profile, say with LA City, it's important to know all your NAICS codes so that you can make sure you're getting into the right. So like Patty, for your marketing, that's great. But I've seen a lot of solicitations come through where they're looking for educational outreach materials, which you don't necessarily think of as marketing, but uses a lot of the exact same skills. So make sure when you look at the NAICS codes, you're picking all the ones that your services would be perfect for.
Perfect. Thank you.
Awesome. And sort of on that, Tamisa and Chad, you know, what certifications or qualifications or requirements are necessary in order to get certified?
So when you go and you meet, like we have a certification expert that we work through one local SBDC. Typically you'll need like something like your business license. You'll need your last 3 tax returns, last 2 to 3 years tax returns. You know, they'll ask you if you're an S Corp, C Corp, or sole proprietor, an LLC. And, you know, even if you're like a franchisee, you can get a certification. Typically the first one that they'll have you get is the Department of General Services, which is good for the state of California. And then you can drill down to get, you know, an LA City one, an LA County. Getting one with Metro's probably one of the harder ones to get. And then you could even go all the way, if you really wanted to explore, is trying to get a federal certification to do work with the federal government.
I would also suggest that before you start, look at the different entities like Chad mentioned, because I think when I did it, I was already slated to do county work. So I would look there first. But for me to get my state, the fact that I already had my county meant I didn't have to do all of the paperwork with the state because they reciprocated from the other certifying agency. So I just suggest looking at all of them that you might want to do first and seeing how you can do less work in getting them. And also for me, for some was birth certificate, for women owned, community based. There's some different acronyms besides just SBE.
Oh,
Great call outs there. All right. Well, we're coming up we've actually passed the 5 o'clock hour here on the West Coast. So for all of us that are dying to get into the mastermind, we will do that. Brian, are we just about ready with the breakouts?
Ready.
Are you giving me a finger or the thumbs up? I can't tell.
Sorry.
Okay.
I forgot my camera's over here now, so.
Yes, perfect. All right, awesome. So
All right.
again, thank you to Chad. Thank you to LAX Coastal for being our sponsor this week and sharing all of this wonderful information. Please reach out to Chad, reach out to the Chamber, and take advantage of the events that they have going on. Take advantage of all of these resources that Chad has helped share with us today. And if you have any questions, again, feel free to reach out. Here's all of their contact information, and they're all lovely people. I've only had the pleasure of meeting Chad and Kelly directly, but I hear tell that both Christina and Judith are wonderful. So so you can trust that recommendation. And if you don't, then I'm sorry. But they're wonderful people. I promise. It's the beard. It gives everything a weird piratey feel. So Mastermind. Wait, that's not the right thing. There we go. Rules of engagement. For those of you that are new, that have joined us for the first time, we'd like to run through and give everybody 10 minutes If possible, I know we're a little tight on time today, so if you'll stick with us a little bit past 6 this evening, then we'll make sure we get everybody in. But as we get people in, we'll have a group leader. Please, when you're called on or chosen or self-selected, please introduce yourself. Tell the group how you serve customers or clients, and then present your question, problem, idea, anything that you want help from the mastermind. Present that, and then the group will give you all of their thoughts and wonderful advice on what they think you should do to add to what you're already positioning. So let's make sure that everybody uses their full 10 minutes. If the group does happen to run out of steam, each guide in each breakout room will help to pull more value out of the conversation. And then at the end of the breakouts, we like to return and give the whole session one takeaway from each breakout. Today we've got quite a large group, so we'll probably just try and run through that.